All right. Hello, everybody. You are listening to the Minding Mind podcast, where we live life with ease, connection, and permission to just be. I'm your host, Evelyn LeVasseur, and welcome back to another episode. Today, I am sitting down with my friend, Rhonda Williams, and we're going to talk about how to find real health answers. And you know, this is important because there is so much information that you can find online. One Google search about health and weight loss will send you on 10 different rabbit holes. And God forbid you speak to or follow some influencer who's giving you the cookie cutter plan. Just do this and you're going to get all the results. And then you're frustrated and wondering, why does this not work for me? And the answer is because it wasn't meant for you. But we'll get into that. So before we get into it all, I am just going to tell you a little bit about Rhonda. So Rhonda J. Williams is the founder of Exodus Training and Consulting Group with over 15 years of experience in coaching, training, and consulting. Rhonda's life mission is to authentically live a life of freedom, purpose, and joy, and take as many people with her as she can. Rhonda's presentations are impactful, insightful, and inspiring. And as an executive coach, transformational speaker, and optimal health enthusiast, she utilizes positive psychology and a strength-based approach to help clients see and appreciate their potential, navigate limiting beliefs, and create their personalized path to success. Okay, I already feel lifted up just by reading that. So first of all, thank you for being here. Welcome to the podcast.
Absolutely, absolutely. Overjoyed, overjoyed, overjoyed.
I'm so excited. So, I feel like let's just get right into it, right? So, we already know that there is insane amounts of information available to people who are looking to start a health journey. And I'm saying health because I feel like even in the days where I was doing mostly fitness coaching, when people came to me and said, I just want to be healthy, first of all, what they really meant was, I just want to be skinny, because they connect skinny to healthy. And the other part was that because there was so much information out there, and because there's so many different programs, cutting carbs, cutting out fat, just being in calorie reduction, liquid diets, like Weight Watchers, all the things, right?
All the
People
things.
are constantly focused on, I need to find the right plan, instead of, I need to really figure out what's not working for me. Right? Like instead of, let me stop looking at what's gonna work out there, maybe I need to connect with what really works in here and in here. So can you maybe talk a little bit about that and started this journey, because your journey has been like really, really inspiring, just to see the way you take the reins of your health.
Yeah. You know, honestly, it's been a lifelong journey. I've been overweight my entire life. And so I've tried everything. Like you said, the potions, the pills, the programs, some of them twice, some of them 3 times. I've tried a little bit of everything. And you're right. Initially, that goal was lose weight. I got to get smaller. Like I need to be able to be looking fine, fine, right? And so over time, with trying so many different things, and of course, you find success. They say the hardest part about losing weight is keeping it off. So I had success. I lost weight several times over and over, but it would always come back. And then I just couldn't get to that ideal place that I had for myself. So with so much time in the journey, right? It wore me low. It wore me out. And so eventually, just like you're saying, I began to look more inward. What is it that I really, really want here? If I never lost weight, what would I want? And it was like, I want to feel better. I want to feel confident. I want to feel good in my body. I want to feel like I have some control over my body and over my health. And so slowly that became more of the focus, because I just could not ultimately just focus on this number. And so a lot of the work started, that internal work. That really was one of the biggest keys to my journey. And that was the thing that kept me in the game, that helped me get back up over and over again until eventually, Lord have mercy, I found the actual path that broke it all open for me and that I know will break it open for so many people. And I'm so charged. I'm so excited that I just want to tell the world because I don't want people to really suffer as
Mhm.
long as I've suffered and, you know, the different ways that I've suffered. So again, that internal work. And so a lot of the things I share, yeah, I share some of the key things I did tactically to get to the health and vitality and weight loss that I wanted. But a large part of what I share, especially as a coach, is really that internal work. Who do
Mhm.
you need to be? Who do you need to become? I bring up the things that you're going to have to navigate that you probably have never even considered. And so I feel like that was a long answer, but yeah, that internal piece has been huge for me.
Yeah, no, I don't think that that was long answer. I think it was perfect because there's so many of us that just are like, when I lose the weight, I'm going to
Mhm.
feel XYZ. When I get there, I'm going to feel better. When I hit my goal, everything else is going to shift.
Mhm.
And literally that's just not the way that it works because and
Yeah.
I know when I coached and in my long history of dieting and losing and regaining and losing and regaining. First of all, I always thought the problem was me, right?
Mhm.
I thought I didn't have motivation. I didn't have dedication. I didn't have discipline,
Discipline.
right? It was just like,
Cuss
why, if I
word.
were just
Cuss
disciplined, if I
word.
were just disciplined, yeah.
Yes.
But it was like realizing that no matter how much weight I lost, it never felt like enough, right?
Mhm.
Even I would look at pictures when I was smaller and I would remember the woman in the picture, the girl in the picture, still wanted to be smaller,
Yep.
right? So, like finally realizing that it was never about the goal, it was about the feeling.
Mhm.
Like, yes, maybe weight was protecting me in a different way, right? That's how I
Mhm.
look at it. Like our bodies are meant to protect us. But if we're holding on to excess weight, it's because we're holding on to excess mental and emotional weight. And when I
Yeah.
started to recognize that, right, like if I was just going to keep focusing on losing weight, then I was always just going to be a smaller version of my unhappy self.
Ooh, mic drop. So true. So incredibly true. I love, yeah. I That's it. That's it. You know, and what I found, eventually what I found is a through line was a level of belief or a lack
Mhm.
of belief and a lack of belief in myself that it would actually happen for me, right? That I could accomplish this thing for me because my journey had been so long. And I don't say so long like it shouldn't have took me this long. It took me what it took me, right? Everybody's different. And but because it was a long journey, and now I can look back and see how much I gained, like the resilience, the clarity, the vision. I began to focus inward. I began to do that inward work. And now, actually, now that I'm on the partially on the other side of it in a way, I feel like it's always a journey. We're never
Yeah.
that destination. I can see the power in my journey in sharing with others because my delay, right? It helped me to build up all the different areas, all the pillars, all the pieces that really bring about the true change, the true transformation that we're really seeking, right? The more, the better, the different that's in our hearts that we're desiring, right? We're focused on this piece, this weight, our health, but it really truly is this bigger desire for more, for better, for different. So yeah, for sure, just beginning to shift that focus, do that internal work. And I've done the same thing, looked at pictures of me being smaller and remember thinking, I thought I was fat then.
Yeah.
And I wish I could be that version of me now. Like
Mhm.
we're never there. We're never happy. And again, I think it's because we're focused, we're micro focused and hyper focused on that one thing. And I get it. I'm not I'm not shading anyone. I get it. But I really want to really encourage and inspire and shine the light on not just a path to health and healing, but an approach and a process, a total transformation of thought, of perspective, of beliefs, of mindset, because we've kind of been sold a funky little bill. I don't know if I forget what that word is, but we've been sold a lie in a
Yeah.
lot of things. And we take on the responsibility, like you said, oh, it must be me. I'm not dedicated enough. I'm not consistent. I don't really want it. Oh my God, if I have to hear that again, oh, well, they must not really want it. Oh, baby, I wanted it, but
Hmm.
there was a lot of other things at play I discovered that were impeding my efforts. Like even my best efforts were being impeded by other things that I had no idea were at play.
For sure. I feel like there's
Mhm.
so much of like from when we're very little, we start to get this messaging, and it's not direct. Like parents will think,
Mhm.
I don't say that directly to my kids. It doesn't matter. You live it, right? They're surrounded by it. So we got this messaging that what we looked like took precedence over who we were, right?
Mhm.
And I think as we get a little bit older, we start to recognize that what we look like is always going to change, but who we are at our core shouldn't, right? We can
Mhm.
grow, we can evolve, we can elevate, but if you lead with love in everything that you do, that should be the priority, not do you have rock hard abs and wear a size 3. You know what I mean? Like the focus has always been that outward value, which took us away from who we were, which is why we actually were so unhappy about the outward to begin with, because you're
Ugh.
right. You just completely not even sure of who you are and how you feel about yourself and how you
Mhm.
show up. Like walking in a room, feeling uncomfortable, wondering who's judging you, not wanting to put on certain clothes because you're like,
Mhm.
oh, this doesn't feel good. Somebody's going to say this. Or when I walk in, I don't feel as pretty as the other people there. Just all these things that happen in your head where I feel like being me today and releasing all those thoughts, like I'm not uncomfortable no matter who I'm around. It
Mhm.
doesn't matter. My
Yeah.
outfit, you could catch me in sweatpants and a t-shirt or dressed to the nines, and I feel good
Mhm.
because,
Absolutely.
right, I lead with my heart first. My body is the least valuable thing about me, right? But then
Mm.
there's also the part that says you start to see how when you love yourself different, you nourish yourself different, right? So now, because I can see my heart, like I can look in the mirror, I can look in the mirror now and not want to turn my face. I can look in the mirror now and just sometimes I'd be playing a little game with myself and I'd be like, girl, I love me some you, right?
Love it.
Girl, I see you. But now I look in the mirror and I see my heart. I don't just see weight, right? So,
Mhm.
like, not only is there this comfort that comes from that, there's an ease that comes from it too. But then there's the connection because
Yeah.
now I can look at it and say, before I used to restrict and then binge like crazy. Like I'm cutting out all sugar and X, Y, and Z. And then
Yes.
I'd be having ridiculous sugar cravings. Where now I can say to myself, like, sweet stuff is delicious, right? And I
Mhm.
enjoy it because it's delicious. But also, I know that it makes me feel tired. I know that when I have, like, I don't know, a dessert at a restaurant, I can have a little bit, but too much of it, I'm not going to sleep well. I'm going to
Yeah.
notice some swelling in my fingers. I know I'm going to be lethargic tomorrow. And if I want to live an energized, full, beautiful life,
Ooh.
then I need to make sure I'm setting myself up to wake up every day with that possibility. So it's different. Like now, before it was like I can't have dessert because I'm going to get fat, and now it's like I'll have a few bites of dessert, but I'm good because I don't want to feel tired and sleepy and cranky.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that you said that because part of what I was learning along the way is to use, in coaching, I call it using a range, right? And so we can be very rigid. We can say, okay, I want to lose weight. This is the goal I have. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to restrict my carbs. I'm going to do this. I'm going to work out 5 times a week. And this is the set in a box plan. And then we set off, right? We never think that this is a draft plan. Okay. And when we go out there, it is to be tested and tweaked and adjusted along the way. And when we have such a fixed vision, such a fixed plan, it leaves no room for life to happen. And how often is life happening? Every day, twice a day, 3 times a day. So if you use a range, so if you say, I'm going to work out 5 times a week and you work out 4, you often will feel bad because you didn't get to 5.
Right.
But if you choose something like, I'm going to work out 3 to 5, right? Just like you said, I'm going to go, I did something really, I'm a nerd too, right? And so I was like, okay, 3 meals a day. What if I targeted eating well, whatever we want to name it, 80% or 85%, right?
Mhm.
And so I said, okay, 3 meals a day, 30 days. And I saw what that number was for eating well at 85%. And then the rest of the days were called flex days. So when I put it in my mind that this was a flex day, this wasn't a cheat day, this wasn't me off the program, this wasn't me being bad, this was a flex day or a flex meal, right?
Mhm.
That's really better because each meal is a separate decision. Before, if I cheated or fell off one meal, then was like, oh, well, let's just throw the whole week away, right?
Yep. I'll
But
start
that
over on
gave,
Monday.
yes, that gave me the flexibility, that gave me grace, that gave me ease, that because I got into such a place where I was so hyper focused on getting it exact right because you feel like if you get off any bit, you're gonna be fat. You're gonna be fat. If you mess up,
Yep.
it's gonna screw it all
You've
up.
ruined it already.
You've
You've
ruined
ruined
it.
it. Yeah.
And so putting some techniques in there, some hacks in there, some ways to help you reshape your thinking and create a process and approach that's more sustainable. See how she leaned in with that?
Mhm.
Sustainable,
Mhm.
right? That's more graceful for your spirit and your soul. One that you don't mind picking up, a plan you don't mind picking up daily. Because if it's just, like 75 hard, nothing against 75 hard, but even the idea. So when I saw people doing that, I renamed it to like 45 medium or soft or something because my mind just like, what? I couldn't even
I
take in
mean,
the energy behind that language, right? But
I feel
yeah.
like it's that energy that you're talking about, that because like hearing the word 75 hard, my body is like, I reject that. If it's hard, I don't want it. I am so ready, not ready. I'm already leaned into ease and comfort and calm. Like, I love a challenge. I'd love to do things that challenge me mentally and emotionally, but
Mhm.
I'm not trying to force a thing
Right.
ever again. I don't want
Hmm.
it. If it's gonna stress me out, if it's gonna make me struggle, if it's gonna make me feel bad about myself, I don't want it. And
Absolutely.
75 hard, I see people get beautiful results. I see people turn around and get like some wonderful practices with discipline. But
Hmm.
I know with my history and being and knowing that dieting specifically just caused so much harm mentally and
Yeah.
emotionally, I'll never go
Hmm.
back that way again. I would rather, I think that that's the other part. Sorry, that's the other part is when we think about weight loss and we think about changing our bodies, we want to do it right this second. And that's why
Hmm.
so many people are like, just tell me what to eat. Just tell me how much to work
Yeah.
out. Just tell me, I'm going to do it. Whatever you tell me, I'm going to do it. And I think there's two parts of that. There's the part of us that is desperate to feel good. So it's
Hmm.
like, just tell me because I want to do it right now, right? I
Yeah.
am desperate to feel good. So that first part is recognizing that the feeling is never going to change
Hmm.
until you address the feeling, not the body, right?
Yeah.
And then there's the second part where I kind of feel like because we have spent our lives not trusting ourselves,
Ooh.
we desperately want somebody else to tell us what to do because if Rhonda says it's going to happen, it's going to happen. If
Hmm.
Evelyn says it, Evelyn don't really show up for Evelyn. Evelyn is not consistent. Evelyn can't be trusted. Therefore, whatever
Hmm.
Evelyn puts into place can't be it.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I feel like when we want this change for our body, is so rooted in I am desperate to feel a certain way and I don't trust myself. So just tell me what to do.
Yeah. And I get it. I even get how we've gotten there. Like, if you think about our society, we are taught to trust, to give our health and vitality over to doctors wholeheartedly. Again, love doctors, need them, God bless them. But you are the star and director of your own life. I
That's
talk
right.
about the fact that you are with your body 24/7, period. When you may go to the doctor maybe 4 times a year, and during those times you may spend 10 to 15 minutes with them. They'll take blood work. Blood work is a snapshot in time of what's happening within your body metabolically. It does not tell the whole story.
Hmm.
How many times have we known something was wrong, something was off, something was disconnected, and they're going like, oh, well, your blood work is good, everything
Yep.
looks, your numbers look good, and you're like, but there's
But
something
I'm not
there.
good.
Right. That's why I talk about real health answers. We get, and especially over 40, and don't be a little overweight, right? We're put in a bucket. I feel like our file gets a stamp on it, like overweight and 40. So
Yep.
everything gets dismissed and put into that bucket. There's no real health answers. They're not telling you anything beyond, well, you're at that age, oh, you're in menopause, or, if your blood work is okay. What I've also learned on my journey is that most traditional Western doctors are looking at blood worker results from a disease perspective, right? They're
Hmm.
looking at your ranges from a disease perspective. So when they say it's normal, they're saying it's not at the point of disease, right? But the moment
Mm.
that it does get to the point of disease, what are they going to do?
Medication.
Write you a
Write the
prescription.
script.
Period. There's no, okay, well, let's get to the bottom of this. Let's figure out
Hmm.
what's happening underneath. And the prescription is designed to just manipulate your biochemistry so that the symptoms are not there. It's
Yes.
like knowing that there's something wrong with your car and the check engine light is on, and you go to the mechanic and he turns the light off for you and say, well, I turned the light off, so you should be good. Yeah, that no. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, so getting to real health answers and being the advocate for yourself. Do your research, Google some things. And yes, you will get the side eye from medical professionals like, oh, somebody's been talking to the Google doc. Yes, I have. Because
Yes, I
guess
have.
what? I'm in my body. I know me. And I always say also get a second opinion. I say consider a functional medicine doctor. They are more focused on root cause and helping you get to the bottom, helping you get to a level of optimal health. Because when they look at blood work, they're looking at an optimal health range, which is far before they don't even want you near disease range, right?
Hmm.
But yeah, I could go on and on and on about
Yeah.
this, but yeah,
I
it
feel like what
just,
you're saying though is like just the how you and I talk constantly about it all comes back to us, right? It all
mhm,
comes back to us. Yes, we need doctors. Yes, when they are the ones that have the answers when our health is in crisis.
right.
But we literally live our lives feeding ourselves things that we know are damaging us
Mhm,
in a system that we know does not give us the healthiest options.
mhm,
Food is full of chemicals and all these additives, but we consume it and then truly expect our doctors to have more care about our life than we do. Right? We go to the doctor and say, like, they're not telling me any answers. They're not giving me X, Y, and Z. But it's like, what am I doing to prevent myself from having to need the doctor?
mm,
Right? Like, we need them when we're in crisis. But
right.
all the rest of it is about us. It always
Yes.
comes back to us. And I
Yep.
love like the functional medicine doctors, the naturopathic doctors. I love that they take the time to get to know your history. I've
Mhm,
had this one naturopath that I've worked with for years, and I see both naturopathic and Western doctors. But
absolutely.
this naturopathic doctor, I loved him so much because he the first time we met, and it was virtual calls, he went through my health history. He went through my reproductive history. He talked about my family history. We talked about culture, because also like stress, home life, like all that was important. But I think that so many people think it's just food and exercise, food and exercise.
Mm-hmm.
But really, like, everything we know about food is also rooted in culture, family, and tradition, right? So it can't just be food. Eat fruits and vegetables and lean meat and forget about your whole upbringing, forget about your whole past, your whole, you know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't even make any sense.
Right.
But like when people say, I see influencers constantly say, food is just fuel. Food is just fuel. And it's like, okay, hold on, hard stop, because food is tradition. Food is
Mm-hmm.
family. Food is
Love,
culture. Food is love. Food is
comfort.
connection. All of
Yes.
those things. Like
Mm-hmm.
to say it's just fuel is to ignore every part of what we love about fueling ourselves with the people that we love to fuel
Mm-hmm.
also. So
Mm-hmm.
I love how you bring up the fact that, yes, the doctors talk about the disease and then treat, or kind of hide, like silence the symptom,
Yep.
but they don't get you to look at the root to give you the control over your health.
Mm-hmm.
So, how do you help people do that instead?
Yeah. So a lot of the way I've written the book and the course that I'm doing is really about that internal work, right? Really first and foremost getting very clear about what you want, getting clear about your vision and why it matters, really digging into your internal motivation. From there, it's about looking at, I share my ultimate code to success, like the tactical themes that truly help me move the needle. But it's the core, but you have to wrap around it your mindset, your heart set. You have to become open. You have to become really open and curious about things, because we're so stuck in culture, in habit, in tradition. Our brains are wired. And so some of that is beginning to unwire ourselves, unravel ourselves. There's a chapter in my book and in the course called The Awakening. That's where, people have an idea, like you said, that we should eat better, we should eat, better than we're eating, or some of the things we're taking in are not good. We shouldn't be eating this much sugar. But people truly have no idea what we are up against out here in our environments, with the food production, with the way food is processed, ultra processed with sugar, salt, chemicals, all the things. And I bring it up. I'm not like focusing like on the whole conspiracy theory. There is a conspiracy. Right? So
Yeah.
we recognize it, but we don't put our energy there. We recognize it, we wake up to really what's happening, and then we put our energy on what are we doing? What are we doing with ourselves? What are we doing with our choices? And then helping people do that in a way, meeting them where they are, helping them do that from their place of strength. Who are they? What is their culture? Having conversations about culture, having conversations to help people see some of those blind spots that are keeping them stuck in a certain mindset or certain habits and so forth and so on. And then helping people find their path forward, whether when I write in the book, I give people 3 ways to read it. You can go the fast track, you can jump right into my code. You can go study wins the race. That means read the book from top to finish, really get settled with who you are, what you want, come up with a plan. And then, there's kind of this happy medium in there, but it's designed to help meet people what they are, really help them recognize what they're up against, sort of take the blinders off, right? And because that's what happened to me. If I tell you my whole journey and everything I've tried, you too would be like, well, why the heck did you never really get it together? Because I didn't know, as much as I knew, I did not know the power of these external influences with the environment. And when I
Mm.
pulled myself out of that system totally by accident, that is when breakthrough came. That is when all the efforts, the knowledge, the skill that I gained over those years, that's when all that came together and just exploded and allowed me to just shed and release and detox 62 plus pounds and counting.
I
So
love it.
yeah, so I really work on the internal work. I give you those tactical things that people are looking for, but we got to do the work around that to support that, to help that be a sustainable. And we got to do the work to help you tweak it in such a way that it's sustainable and that it works for you and meets you where you are as an individual, amazing human being that you are.
So when you say like you did the tactical stuff with the mindset, the hard work, right? Making
Mm-hmm.
it all. Do you find now that that idea of keeping the weight off
Mm-hmm.
is a non-issue? Is it less of a stress? Like, how do you even view that now?
Right. And so it's less of a stress because I know what works now. Right. And so I can still always talk about building a toolkit. And so when I started writing the book and sharing my story, I really sat down with myself and gathered and remind myself of all the tools and all the skills and all the things that I've learned and used over the years. And so they're there. I'm solid in those at this point. And now I know the path that truly works. So, yes, life is still happening.
Mm-hmm.
We are still getting off track here and there. We are still having challenges and temptations and all the things. But what's different now is I know hands down what works. And
Mm-hmm.
so, even as a part of my toolkit is my reset protocol for myself. And so, I know when I'm off track, life is life and it's taking me out of alignment. I know, okay, oh, we got to get back, we got to reset. So, part of my process again is gathering the tools. And again, the biggest key now is that I know what works. So, I can
Mm-hmm.
quickly just grab that out of my toolkit and put that to work. So I feel a lot more 10x confidence about where I am. And because I've been at this for a little while now, and again, my journey was so up and down, I've been able to see the ebbs and flows, and I've been able to see that my code still works.
Mm-hmm.
I still win on, off, up, down. The code still works. Yep.
I think you just made me remember something else too, that I feel like a lot of us that are stuck in those moments of constantly weighing yourself, constantly chasing that smaller body, constantly like, I have to maintain this, I have to maintain this, I have to
Mm-hmm.
maintain it, don't realize that like 5 to 9 pounds weight difference is actually maintenance, right?
Yeah.
Your body does ebb and flow. You will
Mm-hmm.
have times where you are retaining more water, you're more bloated, maybe you did have a little bit more sugar. That doesn't mean your
Mm-hmm.
whole entire body composition has changed.
Right.
That is maintenance.
That
That
is
is
maintenance.
like staying in that range
Mm-hmm.
is literally the definition of maintenance. I think, well, like I know for me, when I used to weigh, I used to like weigh every single day,
Mm-hmm.
wake up every morning, weigh myself, weigh myself, weigh myself. If that scale went up a pound or
Yeah.
two, God forbid, it was like my day was ruined.
Mm-hmm.
Now I had to like restrict what I ate. I had to exercise more. I had to cut out the carbs. Like just recognizing that the ebbs and flows are maintenance.
Yeah. Wholeheartedly. And I love that you said that because as I kept dropping, because initially the biggest thing for me was getting below 200. I had not
Mm-hmm.
been below 200 in close to 30 years. Like all the up, down, left, right, I just couldn't break it. And so as went below 200, it was like, oh, right. And so it was like, I started at 227, that was the highest. And then it kind of stepped down, stepped down. I dipped to 198
Mm-hmm.
and then I dipped to 185, right?
Did you freak out the first time you saw the 100 mark on there?
Yes, I did. It was kind of like I was so happy, but I was so like wound up. I was like,
Mm,
this is amazing. Like, is it
yeah.
real? Right?
And then you're actually like, I'm actually doing this.
Yeah, it's totally often felt very out of body for me. And then I hit 185 and I was like, holy geez, I do not ever know if I remember
Mm,
185. And so I started to think, where do I want to be? Because this thing is working. And so I was like, okay, 175. And I was like, okay, that's good. But that was still a little bit too close to 200 because I knew about the range thing. I knew that I would toggle between 5 and
Yeah.
10, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to give myself enough cushion to toggle where I still felt good and comfortable and confident. So 165 was the original goal from many, many moons ago. And that was so on the shelf. Like I had to go find it somewhere, right? And so as I kept going down, I said, okay, 165, that feels like a good range. And then I can play around with 5 to 8 pounds, up and down with maintenance. So yeah, it is very important to recognize that life is lifing, it's gonna flow. One of the things I talk about is the concept of struggling forward, which
Mm-hmm.
means that, you are gonna struggle. Like I say that out the gate, you're gonna struggle. It's gonna be hard. But guess what? You were struggling forward. Because again, when I talk about my up, down, on, off, if you look at my progress on a graph, you will see a jagged down. She's up, she's down, she's up, she's down. But what you'll notice is that the up, down was still trending down. It was still
Mm-hmm.
trending down. And so I was like, okay, just accept the struggle and keep struggling forward. But
Mm-hmm.
again, I got to that point, was like, okay, let's see where the line is. Let's see what feels good. Know mentally that it's going to be a range, that you want to give yourself cushion so you'll play around in your maintenance zone. Yeah, for
Mm-hmm.
sure.
I love even like when you're giving me this visual of the ups and downs and the ebbs and
Mm-hmm.
flows, right? I feel like that is completely reflective of life in and of itself and
Mm-hmm.
feelings even in and of themselves. We get so caught up in that feeling bad about ourselves and guilting and shaming and feeling like shit
Mm-hmm.
basically for
Yeah.
making certain choices when really like the guilt and the shame, they just keep you in regret and
Mm-hmm.
anxiety. And regret and anxiety are just signs. Anxiety, you are worrying about things that haven't happened yet. Regret, you're worrying about the things that have happened in the past. And all
Mm-hmm.
they do is seriously take you out of the present, right? And
Yeah.
being present and connected and comfortable all the time is what makes you feel your best because you're
Mm-hmm.
always aligned with you.
Absolutely.
So I love
Absolutely.
the visual that you just gave me because it reminds me that feelings, which we totally are allowed to feel, and I'm learning now to fully accept all of my
Mm-hmm.
feelings, but it's just a reminder that they're also temporary, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
sadness does not last forever.
No.
Happiness does not last forever. Excitement doesn't last forever. So it's like focusing on the present moment all the time is what
Mm-hmm.
helps you navigate all the parts of life
Yeah.
and health and body and comfort and
Mm-hmm.
confidence, right? All of it is rooted in just being well with you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It
I love that.
totally is. I mean, it became a full circle, total transformation moment because this has it's renewed my hope, it's renewed my
Mm,
joy, it has renewed my resilience, it has renewed my belief, my creativity. I am just awakened and alive. And I'm
hmm.
like, you gonna get this healing. Y'all gonna get this healing, baby.
That's right.
Watch out. I am coming to the marketplace. Yes, yes,
Do you
yes.
feel like now, with everything that you've gone through and everything that you learned about yourself and your own protocols and your own self-trust, do you
Mhm.
feel like it released the importance of a specific number on the scale?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. I only chose a number as a reference to give me that buffer, right?
Hmm.
I knew that I didn't want to be close to 200 at all. And I knew that life would be lifing and there would
Hmm.
be ebbs and flows. So, what was the most comfortable place to be? And honestly, I didn't know. Well, if you had asked me at 227, 165, I would have been like, oh, I don't even know what that is. But as I got closer, I could see and accept the 165, the number, because I could tell who I was going to be, who my body was going to be at that number. So again,
Hmm.
I just chose it just as a place, a safe place to settle in and really, because the next phase is really honing my journey, figuring out my routine, figuring out my flow, and figuring out how to maintain myself in this range, in this ballpark here. Yeah.
Can you tell me a little about how do you feel? Because in the beginning of our conversation, you mentioned who you need to be or who
Yeah.
you need to become, right? What can you say about Rhonda at 227 that was
Hmm.
trying all the things and failing them? Who have you become in the process to get
Hmm.
yourself to feeling this like healthy life of vitality and energy? Like,
Hmm.
who have you become that's different from who you were?
Yeah. I'm so glad you asked that. As because the journey again was long, it was so much journaling and self-reflection. And when I really boiled it down to what I really wanted, it was kind of three words. I want to be happy, I want to be
Mhm.
joyful, and I want to be free. And that's really it. And so she was always there. She was. But as I step into this moment in my life, in time, I can truly say, yo, I'm happy. I'm straight up joyful and I am so free. And so again, she was there. That's what she wanted. And I know that this moment has just broken me open to really
Mhm.
step into that, to really be that person. Because I know that I was becoming all along the way when I look back. But this moment has really allowed me to fully step into that.
So
Absolutely.
beautiful.
Hmm.
That's so beautiful. So, Rhonda,
Yes.
if people, I know that you mentioned your book, you mentioned some other things that you're working on.
Hmm.
Can you give us a little snapshot of what's coming up so that if anybody's interested in working with you or reaching
Hmm.
out to you, like what would they have to look forward to?
Yeah, absolutely. So the book, Real Health Answers, Unlocking the Secret to Health, Vitality, and Weight Loss After 40. Watch that lean in, right?
Yeah.
And so with the book, I'm also going to be doing a challenge. So it's going to be a jumpstart challenge. So it's going to be the Real Health Answers Jumpstart Challenge. So that's going to be coming out as well. Probably in the next 30 days or so as far as
Okay.
the book. And then the challenge will be coming out after. But yeah, and you can find me on all the socials, facebook.com/Rhonda on a mission, RHONDA on a mission. Same thing with Instagram, Rhonda on a mission, YouTube, Rhonda on a mission, and even I'm trying a little TikTok out there, and I'm Rhonda on a mission there as well.
So
Absolutely.
Rhonda on a mission across all platforms. I'm going to make sure that everything is
Hmm.
linked, website, email, all the things. So if anybody wants to reach out, they can. Congratulations on writing a book, ma'am, by the
Absolutely.
way. Big deal. And Rhonda, I just want to say before we sign off, before I ask you my question of the hour, but I just wanted to say that I appreciate you, the human being and the heart that you are, because I am always focused on growth. I'm always focused on evolution. And I recognize that you are someone in my life who, when you see greatness in others, you won't let them forget it. And you've done that for me, right? Like reminded me of my voice and who I am. And I'm just grateful to have you in my life. And I'm so excited to see how you start impacting so many more people with literally just showing up as you, just
Yes.
being
Oh.
you. So, on that note,
Hmm.
before I can let you go, the question of the hour is in the Minding Mind community, you know that Minding Mind is all about being aligned with your value, your
Hmm.
purpose, who God says you are, not who the world tells you to be. So,
Right.
if it's not mine, I don't want it. That
Right.
is my alignment, my vision. So, how do you think that learning to mind yours, to do things your
Hmm.
way, release
Hmm.
all the ways society told you you had to be or religion told you you had to be, let
Hmm.
it all go and align yourself with you and your soul? How does that impact the legacy that you'll leave?
Yeah. You know, I love that question. I spent a lot of time in the box, just in a
Mm.
box in terms of my mindset, my heart set, checking the box and I want the American dream or whatever the thing was, right? And because nobody's journey is a straight line because mine was so meandering, so up and down, so ebb and flow. Eventually, through time and reflection, evolving myself, it began to boil down for me, right? And I remember journaling one day and I heard release what does not belong to you. Release what does not belong to you, whether it's someone's opinions, someone's thoughts, someone's perspectives. It could even be responsibilities. It could even be responsibilities for friends and family members, taking all these stuff. Release what does not belong to you. And in doing that, I can I can actually hear my voice. I can hear my thoughts. I can hear my heart. And being able to step fully into who I am. I know we talk about stepping into it, and it is a thing, right? But it really is it's not just stepping in. For me, it's become relaxing in who I am. Like I've been so hard trying to get to the thing, step into the thing, and I'm stepping in. But for me, it's really relaxing in who I am. And when I do that, when I relax in who I am and show up in who I've been called to be, lives are changed, people inspired, people are moved, like everything is in alignment. And that is a legacy that I want to leave the legacy that I stood in who I was called to be, and that I touched the people that I was supposed to touch, and my voice reached who it was intended to reach. I want that well done, well done, well done.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And just you talking about that, relaxing into who you were called to be, I could feel my body just take a little sigh. Like,
Yeah.
we don't have to work so hard
Mm-hmm.
to be people that we're proud of or feel worthy. Like, to open our eyes and recognize we're already her,
Mm-hmm.
right? It doesn't have to be so hard. You don't have to put so much consistent effort into becoming another version of yourself because you're already her.
Mm-hmm.
I love
Yep.
that. That
Yeah.
that in and of itself makes my entire nervous system relax and just breathe a little bit easier, right?
Yep.
It doesn't have to be hard. I love
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Rhonda, thank you so much for
Absolutely.
joining
Thank
us
you.
today. It's an absolute pleasure. Everyone
Absolutely.
else, I want to thank you for joining both of us today and tuning into another episode of Minding Mine. Remember, if this episode resonates with you, comment, rate, review the show. Your feedback always helps me grow. And until next time, I want you to go live your life on your terms and please mind your business. We will catch you in the next episode.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.